Hi. So recently, I've been really enjoying re-consuming art that I've consumed before. That includes books, movies, TV shows. I don't know what it is, but I just find so much comfort in revisiting something that I either liked or didn't like just to see how I feel about it now. And I guess when it comes to books specifically, most of the time I'm actually not rereading a book that because I loved it. It's mostly because I want to see if my opinion has changed. But obviously, some rereads are books that I love, and so I want to read like 100 times, and I never get sick of them. So, for this video, I picked 5 books that I want to reread, and we'll talk about why. Yeah, so let's get into it. Book number 1 is My Year of Rest and Relaxation by Otessa Moshfegh. Um, okay, so I read this book like when everyone was talking about it, maybe like a couple of years ago now, when it was really blowing up on TikTok, and I hated it. Yeah, I really didn't see what people saw. I just was not a fan of the writing. I didn't connect to the main character in any way. And I know a lot of people say, oh, well, it's satire. Like, you're not supposed to like the protagonist. But then, is that really the case? Because I don't know. Like, when I read it, it didn't feel very satirical to me. Or I guess if it was satire, I just wasn't sure what it was satirizing or like why it was written as a satire, I guess. I don't know. I guess I was just really sick of the stereotype of, oh, like a mentally ill girl in her 20s is just awful to the people around her because she's mentally ill. I think it's just really weird. I don't like it. So, yeah, but I don't know. Whenever there's like a really popular book that I don't like, I always feel like I'm missing something. And so with this one, I do want to give it a second chance just to see if I have come around to it or if I still stand by my thoughts on this book. Even the ending I didn't really like. It just left me feeling like, what's the point? Like, why did I read all this? Maybe that is the point, that there is no point. I don't know. Anyway, like while I was reading, I felt like I had to do a lot of. While I was reading, I felt like I had to do a lot of extrapolating to try and make sense of what I was reading. Yeah, I don't see what other people see, but I'm willing to give it another shot. Okay, let's switch it up for the next one. So this is a book that I want to reread because I love it so much, and it's my favorite book actually, and that is Looking for Alaska by John Green. And I know admitting that a John Green book is my favorite book is a bit insane of me, but I mean, what can I say? I read this once in middle school and I was like, yup, that's it. That's my favorite book. And I've been rereading it like once a year ever since. And yeah, like in the past 2 years, maybe I've started to realize that it has not aged that well, or I definitely don't like it as much as I did when I first read it in middle school. But I don't know, something about it is still so comforting to me, and I still there are parts in this that I still find funny to this day. There are aspects of the plot that I really enjoy still. But yeah, there are definitely aspects of it that I don't like. And when I read reviews of this book, I fully agree with what people say, and I don't like this is not a book that really recommend to other people because I think it's a book for a very particular type of person who is 13 maybe. Yeah, so I wouldn't really recommend this, and I every time I've recommended it to a friend, they have not enjoyed it as much as I do, but I still love it. This is my comfort read, not my guilty pleasure read, because I do not feel guilty. I very much enjoyed this book, and I haven't reread it this year, so I am due for a reread. And as you can see, I don't know if you can see actually. Wait, this is my most annotated book. I do like annotating my book, but I usually do not like write this much in my books. But I this is one book that I love to reread and annotate. So yeah, like another reason why I continue to reread it is because I love looking at my annotations and seeing if I still agree with what I said or if I notice something different. Yeah, I think that could be a really rewarding experience. So I really do recommend if you have a favorite book like from middle school or high school or whatever, go back and reread it. And I don't know if you still like it, maybe annotate it if you feel like it, and then read it again in a couple of years and see if your thoughts have changed. Book number 3 is The Bell Jar by Sylvia Plath. Similarly to my year of rest and relaxation, this is one I picked up primarily because of online hype, and I did not like it. And actually, I disliked it so much that I thought there must be something wrong with me. Like, I must not be reading it right. So I actually reread it and still didn't like it. So I don't know. Maybe third time's the charm. I'm willing to give it one last shot to see if I can somehow connect with this because I don't like feeling left out. Like, if people love a book like they do The Bell Jar and I don't, yeah, I don't like feeling left out. I've recently picked up the unabridged journals of Sylvia Plath, which actually my copy is right there. And as you can see, I enjoyed this one a lot more and annotated it a bunch. It gave me a lot of context into who she was as a person and how she wrote, what her process was like. And so while I was reading that, I kept thinking, oh, I want to give The Bell Jar another chance. Knowing what I know now, I wonder if I would enjoy this more now. But yeah, the first two times I read it, I'm not sure why actually, but I didn't see what other people saw. I mean, yes, of course, I love the fig tree analogy. I think that was brilliant. But the rest of the book felt pretty flat for me. I didn't really connect with the main character. I thought she was abhorrent, actually, and quite racist, which a lot of people don't talk about when they talk about this book. So yeah, I remember not liking it at all, but I wonder if having read her journals, I would get something different out of this, or maybe I still won't like it, and I have to give up and stop rereading it. Book number 4. Number 4 is A Little Life by Hanya Yanagihara. I first read this in December of 2019, and obviously a lot of things have happened since then. Oh, and when I read it then, I loved it so much actually. I considered it to be one of my favorite books. I remember I loved the writing so much and I kept thinking to myself, if I were to write a book, I would hope that I could write it in the way that she wrote this book. It felt like the writing was like me in a book. That doesn't make sense, but that's really what it felt like. Like the writing felt so representative of who I was at the time that I read it, I guess. And yeah, I guess that was the main thing I liked about it was the writing. I loved it so much. And I, well, I don't want to say enjoyed the story. Enjoyed is the wrong word. It's not very enjoyable, I guess, considering the content. But I liked the book. I really did. And at the time, I couldn't really understand when I saw negative reviews of the book, I couldn't really understand where people were coming from. Since then, I've seen commentary videos or reviews, I guess, of the book, including this amazing video. I'll put it somewhere on the screen. And I really agree now with what people are saying about this book and its problematic aspects. And so and I've been wanting to reread this one for a while because I want to see if I still like reading the book or if I'm going to notice its problematic aspects more now. Because I was quite young in 2019, and that feels like a different time now. You know, so many things have happened, even online, so many things have changed in how people read. I want to see how I've evolved as a reader. Yeah, I guess I'm not saying that just because I agree with the criticism that people have about this book that it means I won't like it. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I won't. Maybe I'll still like it, but I'll be able to see the criticism more clearly. But yeah, this is why I really recommend rereading books. And honestly, it can be really disappointing when you reread a book that you thought was your favorite book, and then you realize that you don't like it as much this time around. But I think it's important for like your growth as a reader. You learn so much about yourself by doing that. So yeah, we'll see how I feel about this one. Last book. I'm really pulling out all the problematic books in this video. But it's Love's a Dog from Hell by Charles Bukowski. My relationship to this book is an interesting one. I definitely picked it up because I kept hearing Bukowski's name like all over the internet, and I thought, okay, like why not? I actually got this one in Paris from Shakespeare and Company. I don't know if you can see that. But yeah, so that's why, even though when I read this the first time, I hated it so much. I did not like it at all. But I couldn't bring myself to get rid of this copy because of the stamp. So then, maybe a year later, I decided to give it another go. I wouldn't say that I enjoyed it the second time around, but I think I liked more of the poems than I did the first time around. First time around, I don't think I liked anything about this book. I was very turned off by the way Bukowski writes, specifically how he writes about women and young girls. I thought was really weird. I still do. But yeah, every time I reread this book, I think I leave having learned something new or having taken something different from it. I do like it a little more every time I reread it, but to me, it's not really about that. I really like revisiting this book, and I think that goes for all poetry collections. It's really hard, at least for me, it's really hard to love a poetry collection. Usually I like maybe a handful of poems. I'm not expecting to love this, like love all the poems. But every time I read this, I do like one poem more than I did the last time, or a certain line stands out to me because of what I've experienced and in the time between the two rereads. I don't know. I feel like the more I grow up and revisit this, the more I don't want to say I understand where he's coming from, but I guess I can empathize a bit more with his writing, especially the poems that are specifically about depression. I found those to be really enlightening and insightful, and I think they provide a lot of context as to why he maybe writes the way that he does. So it's those poems that I find myself connecting to the most. I still, whenever I reread this, I think I've read this 2 or 3 times. Every time I still think the poems about young girls are really weird. I don't like them. I don't know why he writes like that. I cannot defend those. But yeah, I guess I like to challenge myself. I like to read things where I don't necessarily agree with the author, or I don't like the way that they write about a certain thing. I like to know where they're coming from. And I know Bukowski's style has been replicated a lot and dunked on, and I do get it. The first time I read this, I was not vibing with the kind of stream of consciousness way of writing poetry because it didn't feel like poetry to me, really. It has grown on me a bit since then, but I do prefer the poems in here that are more elaborate and aren't just him basically telling us what he did throughout his day, but doing line breaks every couple of words. So I wouldn't say that this is my favorite poetry collection, though it is the one that I've read the most, probably. Something about it just always draws me in and makes me want to keep reading it. And so I don't really care if I love a book, if it makes me think, if it makes me want to keep going back to it, I will do that. I probably will never get rid of this copy just because of the stamp from Shakespeare and Co. So I might as well keep rereading it and see what I can get out of it. All right. These are the 5 books that I wanna. Oh, let me put them down. These are the 5 books that I wanna reread, and yeah, I hope this was interesting. I hope it maybe encouraged you to do some more rereading, to revisit old favorites or revisit books that you didn't like at all, and see if your opinion has changed. If you've recently reread a book and you're had a different opinion about it, please do let me know, or let me know which books you are thinking of rereading and why. I would also love to know. That's all from me. I'll see you in my next video. All right, bye.